The clothing inventory was harder to move. So that's the reason why we transitioned more to the bag inventory, because it's just a lot easier to be able to, support the brand's growth.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle, the host of the SaleHoo e-commerce podcast, where we interview entrepreneurs, marketers, experts, and people who are knee-deep in the daily grind of the e-commerce world. We want to uncover the latest e-commerce trends and get actionable insights that you can incorporate into your daily hustle as you build your online business. Today we're interviewing Matilda Nwoke, founder of Nwoke, a women's fashion company based in New York City. So thank you, Matilda, and great to have you on the show.
Thank you for the invite. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so first off, I want to ask, can you tell me about your company? Why did you start it, and what was the motivation behind it?
Well, I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. I started my first entrepreneur journey when I was in middle school, offering plant sitting and babysitting opportunities to people that were going on vacation in the neighborhood. And it's just transpired over the years to having, a t-shirt company, to then going to fashion school, and now being in New York. I've worked with major brands developing their garments. So I decided to lean onto my own path and create Nwoke, to make sure I have a brand that offers luxury products, but more at a reasonable pace.
What specifically did you do before this? And do you think doing that helped you have a smoother time in starting your own company?
When I moved up to New York, I moved here and I worked for companies developing their products, women's products to be exact. And so that experience allowed me to have the knowledge to be able to communicate with overseas factories, to be able to communicate regarding sourcing, to be able to communicate regarding the fashion lingo, and also having a deeper understanding on how garments and accessories are actually made, so that the actual communication is very seamless, so that there's no hiccups or no delays because of the lack of knowledge within that process. So that process was super helpful. I also dabbled in real estate, which is property management. So understanding how to manage a property and all of the different people that play positions within that real estate industry actually gave me more of a business acclimate, so that I can also manage the business aspect of being an entrepreneur and running Nwoke's clothing brand. So it's been super helpful. Both of those industries were so helpful.
Yeah, but e-commerce is a bit different. So did you take courses or just Google a lot or have a mentor?
So when I first started, I went to school for fashion management, right? And so it's basically how to manage a brand. When you want to do something, you just find resources, right? So when I actually dabbled my feet in it and I realized that some of the knowledge I received in school doesn't easily transfer into the real world, I did research. I read a lot of books. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. And there are so many people that came before me, so many women that came before me that have brands out there, like XXL Scrunchy. I used to binge watch her videos so much, and she dropped so many gems that it was almost like I was getting another college degree just by watching these people on YouTube and using other resources. So that's how I was able to really immerse myself into being on the e-commerce side of business.
Okay, and when you did start your business, why did you choose women's wear and accessories?
When I created my business, I chose women's wear and accessories because I'm obsessed with women. I'm obsessed with women. I'm obsessed with every fiber of ourselves. I'm obsessed about how much we take on a day-to-day basis and how we overcome every single morning. I'm also obsessed of all the different avenues women serve, and the fact that I think that women should be able to feel so confident and comfortable in their clothing every single day. And so I wanted to develop clothing that fit every single woman if they were interested. I wanted to provide clothing and accessories that were bold but also classic in design. And so that's the reason why I developed Nwoke.
Okay, and can you run me through the exact products that you offer right now?
So right now, our main product is our soft leather tote bag, which is doing really, really well. It comes in classic colors, classic but vibrant colors like black, cognac brown. We also have a plum color, which is doing really well. And then we have our normal off nude color as well. So all of these colors complement any outfit, and it also transitions from day to night. So if you need a bag to be able to go to work, this would be perfect for you because it fits your laptop, it fits all of your essentials. But if you are someone of a chic woman and you need more of a tailored bag for you, this bag is perfect because of the classic design and the really quality leather it's made out of. It easily transitioned from day to night in a seamless process.
Okay, and when you did start this, were you worried about competition at all? I mean, there's tons of competition in the handbag space. No.
No, I'm being so transparent. Like I have I'm in my own lane. Like I draw inspiration from people instead of the opposite, right? I love seeing other, designers doing their thing and so forth because it's inspiring to see that if they can do it, so can I, right? And because they've already paved the avenue, that's an easy transition for me. Instead of making the same mistakes that they made, I can learn from their mistakes and then just keep on going. So I don't see it as a competition. I feel like there's a market or there's a person for every brand. And so I don't feel as if it's a competition. I feel right now for our brand that we're creating our brand identity and creating our own target market. But there's a handbag for every single one. Most women or most people have like 4 or 5 handbags in their collection, right? So all 4 or 5 handbags do not have to belong to the same brand. And so, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with there being so many handbag companies. Keep on
So what
going.
did you, yeah, so what did you do specifically, or do you just like your own design, or did you kind of look at the market and see what was missing and try to do something different?
So I was inspired by a bag. The bag in particular that we're speaking about is a soft leather tote bag. Each of the bags or each of the products that I drop are inspired by someone or something. And so the soft leather tote bag, I was inspired. It was right before COVID. COVID had hit, and the clothing that we were developing, we were no longer able to develop at a fast pace because the factories that we were working with were at a standstill. So we had to think of a product that we're going to sell, but also be functional. That's what our brand is based off of, like having fashionable but functional items as well. So we came up with this simple design that is classic in appearance, but also functional as well. And we reached out to a few of our factories and they were able to develop this because of the simple idea of the bag. It was easier for them to develop that than our complicated pieces that we might have done in the previous stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, so most of your business is the handbags, right? Or is there some elements of clothing and other types of accessories?
So we make women's tailored suits like this suit that I have on. We've made pieces for that are coming out in shows pretty soon. We originally came out with women's clothing. However, I ran into some obstacles at first because of, clothing is just so hard to, unless you have a defined market of people that are seeking after you, or unless there's a celebrity tied to it, and there's some type of notoriety tied to your brand, it's really hard to put out a clothing brand and like for the clothing brand to pick up steam right away, right? When I first brought out my brand, social media wasn't as big and I wasn't as great on social media as I am now. And so I felt it was more beneficial in terms of business sense for me to push the bags because anyone could wear bags, men, child, women, any age range could easily wear bags. So I felt that that was a smarter business sense to push the now and then in the future drop a more cohesive brand with clothing and bags. But
Okay.
our website still features like clothing and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and when did you start this company?
The idea for the brand actually came around 2016, 2017. However, we got the brand name and business and licensing around 2019. So we're about 5 years old.
I want to jump into inventory. So when you first started the brand, how much inventory did you purchase? Did you purchase in clothing and handbags, or just in one segment?
Just clothing. When I first started, my brand started off as a grassroots brand. There was no mom and dad funding me, no sugar daddy, no one. It was just me. I was an intern in the fashion industry. So I was literally making no money. So I had to push my desires based off of just aspirations. And so when I first started, I was using my savings and going to the factories in the garment district and having them make me samples and then reaching out using social media to get models to capture them and so forth and so forth. So that was the original process, just one or two pieces, and that was it. As the brand grew and as I became a more established in my career, I was able to fund that business even more and gaining larger and larger inventory. The clothing inventory was harder to move. So that's the reason why we transitioned more to the bag inventory, because it's just a lot easier to be able to, support the brand's growth.
Okay. And how, in the beginning, how did you determine how much inventory to purchase? Like if you were trying to give tips to someone who also wanted to break into this industry, how much inventory would you tell them to purchase?
So at this moment, just learning from my previous mistakes, I would mention for anyone that's, doing women's ready to wear pieces or accessories to basically do the market research first to gauge the interest in your items, and then do pre-orders. Get your items out there, market it, and do pre-orders so you know exactly how much of an inventory you need to order. One of the suckiest things is to have all of this, especially as a business, like a small business. It's a pit in my stomach to have like so much inventory sitting there because you're really depending on it. It's like your lifeline when you have inventory that's not moving. So I think the smart way to go is basically do a pre-order system, do drops with pre-orders so that you know exactly how many items you need to order from your inventory. And because you've done pre-orders, you already have the funds in your hands to be able to of course, pay the factories and everyone else involved.
But when you do pre-orders, I guess it takes a while from when they purchase to actually receive the product. Is there any dangers to that, or do you find that most people are okay with it?
I think it just depends on your demographic. You have to be super transparent. One of the things I find that's working right now is I'm being really transparent with my target market, with my social media supporters and stuff. And so when you're transparent, you build a core of interested people that want to see you win and want to see you grow. So they're okay with waiting 2 to 3 months until they get their items because they know that their money is going to a good cause. It's going to someone that's chasing their dreams or someone that's good, has a purpose in hand. So I think you have to outweigh the pros and the cons. The pros is that you buy all this inventory and you don't have a demographic for it, and you sit, in your factory with all this inventory and the money is already gone, or that you wait and someone has to wait 2 to 3 months for their pieces.
So basically, you have to be upfront and tell them, okay, this is a pre-order, and it will take some time for you to get your order.
Yes, that's what we did with our winter jackets. Our winter jackets are beautiful, and we had a few people place orders, and we thought our factory was going to figure out logistics a lot quicker than it did, a lot quicker than it took. But unfortunately, it took like 4 months. By the time the jackets arrived after the orders, it was already spring, and we started marketing the jackets in the fall. So we had to maintain communications with our customers that placed the order. And then of course, once the jackets came in, I went above and beyond in terms of customer service. I added extra treats in there, gave them extra percentages off, because at the end of the day, I would be annoyed if I ordered something and it took 2 to 3 months. I would be so annoyed. So I just make sure that I pour in exceptional customer service, because these customers are literally feeding the lifeline of your business.
And so what was the response of the customers? Were they annoyed, or they were okay that you gave them extra gifts and percentages off? Or
They were okay. And to be truthful, no one wanted percentages off. So every few weeks or every few months, I will reach out to them and say, hey guys, here's an update. The factory's in the process of shipping this. And this is all during COVID. So inventory was getting stuck in customs, and there was a lot of logistics that was just out of each person's hands. And so I was explaining all of these things to them, of course, not in detail, but I was just giving them the bigger picture so that they knew, hey, I was doing everything in my power to bring these garments into my possession. It was just a lot harder than usual because of all the things that were going on outside of my control.
are you still doing these kinds of drops and pre-orders, or are you now holding larger amounts of inventory?
I'm now holding larger amounts of inventory, but I'm actually thinking about doing drops in the future. So that is probably something that I will be going on our next, like this fall inventory run. It will probably be a drop.
Okay. And where are you holding your inventory? Like at your own home, or do you have a warehouse, or how does that work?
So I have inventory in my own home, and then I also have inventory at a warehouse as well.
Okay. And when you did look for your suppliers for your products, how did you find them?
I just did a lot of research. Google was my best friend. I called every number I noticed. I sent a lot of emails. One of the great things about living in New York is that there's so many conventions that happen in New York. And so I attended all of the conventions, the sourcing conventions, so I can network with all of the different factories and all of the sourcing factories that were there. So I went to those conventions maybe like 5 to 7 times a year, and the contacts that I connected with at the conventions, I reached out to them and I kept the line of communication open. And then I just Googled and Googled and Googled until I can't Google anymore.
So how did you find your supplier at the end? Like, are they based in New York, or are they based in China, or?
They're based everywhere. So I have factories in India, I have factories in Italy, and I have factories in China. So those three factories we work with, depending on what product we're trying to develop, it's just based off of their skill set. And so that's the avenues that we go towards.
Okay. And so basically you just found them from Googling, or was there any specific site or anything?
No, so I went to the convention. So the Javits Center has the convention. So I just attended the conventions, passed out my business cards, grabbed business cards in exchange, and then I just followed up with them and stayed consistent in communication. When you're small, a lot of these factories really don't want to work with you because your MOQs are so low. That's not beneficial to them. But I think the persistence of me just constantly following up and seeing if there was any flexibility allow them to have an ease with me and allow me to start the communications with them.
And how important do you think is the supplier and customer aspect, the relationship? How important do you think is that for your journey?
It's so important. I mean, they're like extended families at this point, right? Because not only they're basically your right hand, because they have to make sure if you have a great supplier relationship, they're doing quality checks before you receive the product so that you're not wasting your money down the toilet. You forge such a strong connection with them that they know what to look for, and they have additional attention to detail in your products so that when you receive them, it's a good investment for you. So to me, it's just as important as the customer relationship, because those products are what you're going to transfer to the customers.
Yeah, and that's why with like the SaleHoo directory, we allow beginner entrepreneurs to easily contact and work with the most credible and trusted suppliers from around the world. And the key is that we filter out the suppliers so that you'll only need to choose from the most trustworthy ones. Plus, you have the flexibility to choose from specific locations and regions, including local ones that can really significantly impact your shipping times and accessibility. So what do you think of something like SaleHoo for someone starting out?
I think it sounds like an amazing platform. Like if I had this platform when I started out, I might have been able to jump over a few of the obstacles that I ran into. It seems like it's more of a unified platform that you can easily navigate, which could make it a lot easier because fashion is really complicated and it's such a competitive field. So if you have one location to find all of the sources, why not? That's like a cheat sheet.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you figure out how to price your products? Or did you do any testing, or you just thought about how much margin you wanted to make? Like, how did you figure out the price that was acceptable to your customers?
So in school, I think they give you some type of like math equations, basically stating like 50%, 60% markup after you've calculated all of your expenses and so forth. However, living in New York, I had to take into mind the fact that I do live in New York. I also had to take into mind the fact that I am a very small brand. And so I actually just went onto the streets of New York, streets of Soho, and I asked people, hey, what are your thoughts about this bag? What do you think we can improve on it? How much do you think it should be going for? And once we actually heard the feedback from the customers, we adjusted our price points accordingly, because these are the people that are going to be actually be buying the items, right? So why outprice myself or lowball myself if these people think this bag is valued at this much? So we did not, I originally moved towards the normal standard of calculation, but I also wanted to go to the streets and actually hear what real people have to say about it.
So from that, how did you get your first customer? Was it also from the streets asking people about pricing, or?
My initial customers that we received like 4 or 5 years ago were just word of mouth. It was just my friends, seeing my posts. I was posting on social media as often as I possibly can, and I was sending out newsletters and so forth. So it was just through word of mouth and like the photo shoot, the marketing materials that I would post from the photo shoot. Nowadays, a lot of our sales are through social media posts that go viral, either on our TikTok or on our Instagram. And it's about the community that we're building with the engaging content that we're posting. So a lot of our sales are through that.
Okay, so how can you break down what your main sales channels are right now?
So as of this moment, our main sales channel is Instagram. However, we have like last year, our main sales channel was TikTok. Depends on like which avenue takes off. We've also done really well on Pinterest during certain seasons and so forth. So we pour into all of those avenues because you really never know where someone might find you. And so we just pour those content into those different avenues, and then depending on which one takes off will result on the revenue that we receive.
So do you mostly sell your products on Shopify, or are there other places you sell on?
So right now our website is hosted on Shopify. However, we do have a retail partnership with Made in Hudson, which is in Hudson, New York. They house some of our pieces up there, and we are obsessed. They're our first retail partnership. So we hope to continue that relationship, and we hope to gain more retail partners moving forward.
Okay, can you tell me more about how you got this partnership? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people want to know how this happens.
So this just happened because we've worked together in the past. They provided some of our samples in the past. They've watched our journey. I think being transparent, like for the longest time, I'm a very private person. So I would normally just share surface level things, just photo shoots and things of that sort. But I've just been super transparent on our social media of where we are, mentioning any small milestones and any setbacks, no matter how small or big it is, and just laying it out there so that other people can see my journey. And I think them seeing that journey inspired them to say, hey, let's see how your bags will work at our store. We started with bags, then we moved over to our jackets. They sell our jackets out so well. And then we moved on to more spring pieces and so forth. So it's just forging that relationship with different people. And that's how it worked.
So that they reached out to you from your social media, right?
Well, so it's kind of, I actually initially reached out to them. I initially reached out to them to do one thing, and then the relationship grew because while I was there, they were able to sense my personality. They saw the inspiration that I have for fashion and so forth. And 2 years later, we decided to now partner up on, a retail partnership. But we had been working together on different avenues for like the last 2 years.
So when you reached out to them, was it so you could get stocked in their store, or was it like something else?
Yeah, when I reached out to them to see, because Hudson provides like natural sourcing. So I originally reached out to them for sourcing purposes. And then we forged a communication and so forth. And then 2 years later, I noticed that they had retail shops. And the time is perfect because I think originally when I started working with them, they didn't have any retail shops. They just were sourcing. And as time progressed, they have now expanded and now have these retail avenues. And so I reached out to them because we forged a relationship. It was easier when I was making my calls to see if I can get into their retail store. And I've called so many retail stores. I mean, I have a long Excel of like emailing different retail shops I think my brand would do well. And it just happened that they were able to give me an opportunity that I haven't received elsewhere.
So is this something that's still ongoing? Like you're continuously cold emailing, cold calling just to get into some stores that you think would be fit for your brand?
Yeah, it's nonstop, I think you wear so many hats as, as a businesswoman, right? So I'm constantly emailing people, constantly reaching out, asking them for an appointment, asking them if I can pitch our brand to them, reaching out for some type of support. And unfortunately, you're going to receive a lot of no's, but those no's normally tend to like motivate me to continue pushing, because one person is going to give you a yes, and that yes is going to be like life changing. So I'm just going to continue going until I receive my yes.
So how could you give some tips of how someone would go about this? Like they just write an email to them and call them and just be persistent? Like how would they get their product in their first store?
I recommend first identifying what your brand identity is, right? Because during your research of stores that your pieces can be featured in, you want to make sure your brand identity merges well with this retail shop. And so once you've identified that, then do a lot of research of retail shops within your area that you think your brand would fit seamlessly in. And then reach out to them, call them, ask for the buyer's contact information. If you're not able to gather that information over the phone, stop by the retail shop, see if you can connect with someone in there and gather that retail shop's information, and then send them an email just describing your brand, highlighting how both brands will merge well together, and then be consistent. If they don't respond, follow up, call, do whatever you have to do to gain that opportunity. Like you should never stop at the first, second, third attempt. Like this is your life, this is your future. And I think it needs to be like, your decision to be persistent needs to be regarded in that sense that, hey, this is your future, this is your life, and you need to do any and everything that you could possibly do to gain a response.
And are you trying to get into other countries as well, or are you looking to work with distributors?
No, not at this moment. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I'm going to be super realistic. We are a super small brand. There's a team of one, which is me. And so I don't want to over expand I want to be very calculated about my moves. And I want to make sure I grow brand loyalty in our current city and state first before expanding. We do receive a lot of calls about offering pieces overseas, like London and areas of that sort. We do have a lot of customers that purchase overseas, but I don't want to overextend or expand too quickly because sometimes that could be more harmful than anything.
But you would still ship to the overseas customers, right?
Yeah, we definitely ship everywhere. Australia, Finland. Like I love seeing them on the site. It really warms my heart. But we wouldn't be expanding in terms of like opening flagships or anything of that such overseas.
Okay. And do you do any paid ads like Meta or Google?
I have in the past, but I don't right now. Like I said, we're like bootstrap. All of the funds are either coming from me directly or grants that I'm applying to. And so, though I find like that type of marketing interesting because it does draw traffic to your site or um, to your platform. I haven't found the best results with it, and I could possibly be using it wrong. And so I just find more organic marketing is more helpful for my brand.
And in terms of organic, do you write articles for SEO or is it more just social media?
Social media and just making sure our website is, SEO approved. Just updating the website, our Google marketing, making sure all of the conversion from our site to Google is, working, making sure our local marketing in terms of like the white pages and our local platforms within our area in terms of Brooklyn and New York and so forth are always up to date. So that type of like marketing I'm perfectly with. But marketing in the sense of like having ads like Facebook ads and Instagram ads, they normally bring traffic in terms of like interest. However, for us, it hasn't stuck. So it could be that we're just doing it wrong because we know of so many other businesses that excel through that avenue. It just hasn't worked for us yet.
Okay. So right now it's mostly through social media posts, like you said, on Instagram and TikTok, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what kind of posts do you find that work well? Because before you mentioned that you didn't think like the surface, photo shoots or here's our product. It seemed like the ones that where you're more transparent and telling people about the business and like how you're growing it and roadblocks that you face. Is that like converting better for you?
Yeah, I think those convert better. A lot of our videos that convert really well are the ones of us on the streets of Soho interviewing strangers about their feedback on our bags. And the feedbacks are not always favorable. They could be, oh, the bag needs foot, or I need the leather to be thicker, whatever the case is. But I think it's the fact that we're trying, right? It's the fact that we're moving outside of the conventional mindset when it comes to running a business, to be more realistic into what the actual market wants. The fact that we actually care about our customers is what resonates with the actual viewer a lot more. And so we still post our photo shoot videos, our high fashion content, and so forth. But the items that do a lot well on our platforms are always our engaging content, and the ones that we're more vulnerable in.
Okay, so how does that work? Like you post it and then a few hours later you see sales come in?
And normally works. So normally, if we have like a viral video, I'll post it, and because we're posting like a video a day or whatever the case is, once you see one of those videos go viral, then we'll start noticing more an influx of sales, right? And we can then connect that influx of sales to that video. Also, we're very engaging with every customer order. We send them a thank you email for their order. We ask them how they like reached out to us. And because we form such a connection through our social media, a lot of our customers will actually like let us know via email, oh, I found you on TikTok. I love your videos, blah, 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 blah. And they'll share how proud they are to see my journey, right? And so it's basically like you have your basically social media is like my cousins, my aunts, and my family, but just at a broader, version where they're all across the world because they're seeing me try. I think it's more important for people to see you try than for you to pretend you're doing.
So it's like you're almost getting cultivating a group that is like kind of like your cheerleaders, right? Like trying to cheer you on to grow this business and at the same time they'll help you, by purchasing too. Is that kind of like how the mentality is?
Yes, because of the interviews and because of the realistic feedback, they want to support. They are invested in you. They also see you, or they're seeing you like try on a daily basis. This isn't just, oh, a post. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a fashion designer. They see me at the garment district. They see me sewing garments. They see me with our factory manager. They see the day-to-day actions, and it's not glamorous. The idea of like fashion is always glamorous with like a coffee cup and a nice outfit and so forth. No, I'm in like sweats, a t-shirt, and I'm pulling an all-nighter to pack packages because I want to make sure my customers get it within 48 hours. Like they're seeing me actually try, and I'm sharing my downfalls when we don't win grants or when something bad happens and so forth and so forth. And so I think that process allows people to like invest in the brand and see that, hey, their investment in the brand, either be a like or a post or a share, is actually panning out well.
So you think that doing this instead of just like showing, oh, here's like our new bag or here's a photo shoot, you think this is like a better social media strategy than just doing that, right?
For my brand, I definitely do. I've posted, the static fashion like pictures years over years. Like we're 5 years in now, and I understand that gains a lot of traction in terms like your fashion friends liking it, but like the demographic of people that are buying it are like real people, right? They want to know how the bag hangs. They want to know how it looks on a real person and so forth. And so they want to see the realistic aspect of running the business and not just, the 6 foot, model having the bag on. So I think it's more realistic to add more of real people into your marketing than just the standard, high fashion model.
And maybe they want to know like all like your blood, sweat, and tears that went into creating the bag for them. And it kind of gives them more meaning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, nowadays people want to make sure that their money, where they're spending their money matters, right? So you want to make sure that, hey, if I'm spending my money with so and so, no matter what, how big the company is, what are they using my money towards? And so when you come with me, you see what I'm using your money towards. You see that I am packaging your packages. I am making sure your orders are presentable and making sure that your orders get to you like next day, like Amazon. Like I'm putting in the extra effort. So then you feel good about your investment. You feel like, oh, okay, that, $300 that I spent, that was a good investment. And then you can always go into my social media and see me continue to try, because it's not as if I'm taking your money and I'm just like on the beach. No, you see me every day, like on social media, like trying and trying and trying. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. And I want to ask, do you work with influencers at all?
I have in the past.
And how did that go?
Um, yeah, it's just not, I have in the past and I've had some positive experiences. However, just the direction I'm trying to take the brand, I want there to be a sense of transparency. And I just, at this moment, I don't think influencers are beneficial for my business. I think, yeah, I don't think they're beneficial for my business, but maybe in the future, at this moment, I don't think so.
In the past, did you like give them free products and ask them to post and it just didn't bring in any sales?
I think like the idea of influencing has changed so much. And to me, right now, it just doesn't seem like it's just not influencing. So I think your cousin can influence someone to buy a bag just by wearing their bag. Like you've influenced me by the suit that you have on right now, right? But you literally didn't have to say anything. Just me seeing how well it fits on you makes me want to like go and Google this type of suit after this call, right? And so I think the prestige that goes around influencers and them using their power for good, unfortunately, that phase in like fashion has passed. Now it's more of a transitional process. And a lot of times, just because someone has a high number of followers, that doesn't mean that they can influence someone to purchase. That's a whole different ballgame when you can influence someone to purchase an item. And a lot of influencers can't do that.
So you have like tested out the waters of influencer marketing, and these are the things that you.
Yeah, I've used influencers in the past. I've used a lot of influencers in the past. Actually, just last year, we tried to do a few influencer campaigns and we pitched ourselves to a few influencers, and unfortunately, it just didn't go well. And I just decided from that moment on that I'd rather just be transparent and organic with my attempts to push the brand. And I think that's going to be more productive than attempting to gift someone for a product.
And also your products are, they're not cheap. So like giving people a product is still a cost for you.
They're not cheap and it's so upsetting. That's why I'm saying like influencers influencing is no longer what it is, like what it used to be, right? Before your influencers were influencing people for the good and influencing the masses to make positive changes and decisions and so forth. And now it's such more of like, oh, what huge designer products can I get? And they influence people in the sense of like, I don't want to say materialistic, but it just it doesn't work the same as before. And so I just prefer now to, as a small business, like if I was a global brand and I could afford to give away one of our $600 jackets for free and not be upset if someone didn't post with it or didn't share or whatever the case is. But because I'm such a small brand, it affects my bottom line if we communicate on an influencing agreement and it's just not fulfilled, so I just prefer to not go through that route anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know if you could share like the margins of your products. They don't seem like, it's like leather and it's not like, just some plastic thing. So it just doesn't really make sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense when you're trying to have a quality brand with quality products. You basically are pouring so much money into the aspect of quality that you've spent a lot of money just in that product alone, the construction and the material. And so when you are giving it to someone else to then share it to the world with their opinions or whatever the case is, if they don't fulfill that agreement, you're out of so much money. And I think nowadays people receive items so frequently. Like influencers get so much stuff, right? There's influencers to do unpacking. There's like household filled of items. So it no longer holds its value. These items that they're being gifted no longer holds a huge value. But as a small business owner, like this is my baby. It's like I'm giving you my child, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to throw this child out. And so not only does it affect my bottom line, but it also affects my ego. It also affects, all the energy and resources I've poured into that one product that you've tossed out.
Yeah, and you did mention that some of your jackets go up to they're priced pretty high. Can you give us some like pricing benchmarks of all your products?
So we have items that can range anywhere. I mean, our most affordable item is a belt, which is on the site for $50. We are in the process of testing a tailored suit for hopefully doing for a drop, hopefully in 2025. But that tailored suit that we're currently testing right now, to produce that suit cost me $7,000 to produce it. And that's just a rough number that I remember because that's like the last time I saw an invoice for it. But it could be anywhere from seven to nine to $10,000. But that's when you're producing things of quality, like your material, the labor, the all of that is so expensive to get a product made. And when you're a small business, $10,000 for one suit that's a lot of money. But when you care about what you do and you want to put out good work as a small business owner, you are willing to shout out that money because you are following your purpose and your dream.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, so when you do cultivate your audience, do you do any type of email marketing? Obviously, they see your social media content. Do you somehow recapture them so you can, keep pushing your brand in front of them?
Yeah, so I do weekly email marketing. So we send out newsletters 3 times a week, where whatever is coming up, like Mother's Day, we send out emails to encourage them to purchase for Mother's Day. We also make sure that we offer expediting shipping for Mother's Day and other special holidays. And then, of course, we also continue to give them updates about what's happening with the brand, no matter if it's small or big. We send them some brand highlights of what we're doing and the progress that we're making or the upsets that we've encountered. So, yeah, 3 times a week.
Okay, 3 times a week. Okay.
Yeah.
And you yourself creates all those emails, right? Or do you have someone helping you with email?
Oh, yeah, I create all those emails. I generate them either the night before or the day of. And yeah, and I just push them out.
Okay. Okay, that's really interesting. So I want to ask, what do you think are the biggest mistakes you made along the way in your full e-commerce journey?
I think I spent too much money. I think I was so worried about the flashy things, like having a flashy website, having, flashy hardware. I was so obsessed with those type of things. And I was also obsessed with I was comparing my current journey, or I was comparing where I was in my fashion journey with the current position of like the fashion leaders. So there was no way when I was an intern that I was going to produce a garment that was going to be at the level of Alexander McQueen. Like that's the comparison I was comparing my business to. So I thought, oh, I can sell this, garment that I made for $5,000. It was a mistake, right? I think a lot of people get into the fashion industry and there's a huge comparison of like where you are at that moment to fashion leaders because they've just set the standard and everyone has their journey. You have to price your items based off of where you are, what materials you have, and so forth and so forth. So I think the first mistake would be just spending a lot of money. The second mistake was like the flashy things. And the third mistake was like just trying to compare my current state or the state that I was in at the time of starting to high profile designers because that's just what I thought it was the right way to go.
Okay. And what do you think is like kind of the biggest factor that kind of catapulted your brand to where it is today, like gave you the biggest lift?
I think the biggest lift I've received thus far was I'm not sure if you know this artist, but there is a celebrity named Candy Burris. She's like she's an actress. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm a housewife fan. Okay.
Amazing woman. So I happen to like pitch. I like live in the DMs, so I happen to like pitch my bags. Like the first drop that we had, there was no sales. I was getting like one or two sales from like family members, but I went like 6 months with like zero sales. So I happened to like slide in her DM a few times. And then one of my friends was like, oh, just try one more time. So I like DM'd her again. My friend made the connection. I DM'd her again. She responded. I shipped it over to her. She loved it and she posted about it, but she didn't post about it in terms of like just taking a picture. She did like a video post encouraging her supporters to like, follow my brand and support my brand and so forth. And so that video post allowed me not to only post it on my like Instagram, but also post it on my TikTok. And it just gave me more of a push in terms of sales because she has a following that's very loyal to her and that really like converts really well. So that was my first initial post. At that moment, I was getting like maybe one sale a month or one sale every 3 weeks or anything. Like it was like flatlined. There was no like actual movement. And so her post really like not only gave me the motivation to continue posting, because it gave me the boost to like, oh, okay, you should continue doing this. Because I was like on the border of like quitting because I had been like pushing my brand for so long. So it gave me the pulse to keep pushing, but it also gave me the confidence to continue to like reach out to other celebrities and to continue to like reach out to people that, hey, like I've reached out to the president before. Like you just never know.
Wow. Okay. So did you, after that, you've seen like a big increase in sales after she posted that video?
After she posted the video, I saw a big increase in traffic, but it was when I posted it on my TikTok that I saw a big increase in sales. And so there was a influence of sales and comments and engagement on my social medias after I posted it.
Okay. Wow. Congrats on that. That's a pretty big deal. Okay. So last question. So what's next for you? Are you expanding into other products or, what's next for your business?
So right now I'm in the process of developing another bag. I'm in the process of developing another bag. And I've also, because of all of our focus group research that we've been doing with our current bags, I'm in the process of tweaking our current bags so we can do a drop in the fall. I'm going to continue pushing our content creation and doing more unique, engaging content in hopes of growing our community even larger. And hopefully we make some sales goals by the end of this year, but I'm going to continue pushing the brand ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, so thank you so much for this interview, Matilda. I think it was really informative. We'll learn a lot from your e-commerce journey. So if you want to get more actionable insights on the e-commerce industry, be sure to subscribe to our SaleHoo e-commerce podcast and also our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Thank you and see you in the next episode.